Hey everyone, welcome to Stuff I Never Learned from the School Book. If you were looking at the bearded one, it must be either a Monday and lately either a Thursday or a Friday, since I'm throwing some extra shows in for a little bit right now. But welcome to the show. If you have not met me before, my name is Tom Springer. Welcome to the show for the first time. If you are a repeat offender, welcome back to the show. It is 7 p.m. Central, 8 Eastern, 6 Mountain, 5 Pacific, 2 out in Hawaii. It is 6 a.m. tomorrow morning out in Indonesia and about 9 a.m. out in Australia. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm glad you're here. As you know, I always have on guests. This is no different, but this is one that we have not had on here before. Sometimes I bring on repeat offenders, just like you guys are. But Carli has decided to grace us with her presence this time, and we're going to learn all about Carli. And we're just going to make sure that we make her feel welcome, and we're going to ask all kinds of cool questions just to make her feel just slightly uncomfortable because we think she can handle it. But anyways, let's bring out Carli Kane, everybody. Hi, Carli. How are you?
Hi, Tom. I'm great. How are you?
Good. Thank you for being here. It's good seeing you. We have, I always tell people how we met initially. I actually met you initially because I had on one of our friends, Candy Slater, on the show. And she was a little timid when she was going to come on, and you helped encourage her that she'll do great, and she did fantastic, and you were in the audience. So it was great, and we had a really good conversation. After that, you and I became friends, and we've just been kind of tagging back and forth as far as what each other do, and I'm like, you know what? We just need to get you on the show. So you were dumb enough to say hello, so that's your fault. And so right away, here we go. Nikki, my wife, is saying hello. Welcome to the show. And Stuart is asking, and I guarantee this one is a yes, Stuart, but Stuart is asking, are you ready for the squirrel show?
Yeah, Stuart, I am the squirrel show. You'll see, like, once I start talking, I'll say probably like maybe a few sentences and I'll trail off. So yeah,
Yes, I will not do anything in any way, shape, or form to redirect her back to the original question. I'll just let her go, Stuart. So play along with the rest of the class and we'll see how it goes. But anyways, like I said, we met basically through a mutual friend, at least a Facebook friend. Hi, Kathy. Kathy's saying hello. Hi, Kathy. And then, like I said, you and I just kind of started talking, following each other. Like, I guess I follow you more than you follow me since I go out and look at all your posts, because mostly I watch your hair color changes. And then I watch all the crazy stuff that you're doing out and about with Candy. So yes, I think I don't know who's the instigator, you or Candy, but
you really want to know the answer to that question?
I don't really think I want to. I think I want to be. So but and then I just found out just a few minutes ago that you are actually not too far away from me. You're actually just one state away from me. So at some point, that means we should all probably get together and go investigate somewhere.
That'd be fabulous.
So, yeah, so we can talk about that. But enough yapping out of me. Oh, wait. Nikki said she wants to know the answer to that question. Who's the instigator?
So that would be Candy.
I would say that's
that in the best way. She goes and goes and goes and goes. Love her to pieces, but yeah. She's the rambunctious one.
I don't believe that, but okay, sure, we'll go with that. So, but do me a favor, introduce yourself and let everybody know who you are and kind of how you came about doing what you do and actually what it is that you do in the paranormal field and all that wonderful stuff.
Okay, sure. Well, my name is Carly, and I started kind of getting into this from a really young age. I always kind of felt things, goosebumps, shivers. You feel like somebody is always kind of watching you. So very young age that was experienced. And it wasn't until I was, gosh, I think 32, I believe, is when I went on my first investigation. Of course, like all the shows were out. I, started watching, the TAPS team,
Yep.
they were one of my favorites. Loved them so much. But I went on my first investigation to Waverly Hills in 2010. And we came with nothing fancy. We had, our recorder, and we had our EMF detector and a camera.
Yep.
We came with those three things, and this was back in 2009, maybe, that we went there. So such advances in technology, in regards to the paranormal field, have just evolved. So, thanks to Candy, I have come so far in all of this. But yeah, I've been doing this from a really young age, and I've always been intrigued with it. And yeah, and ever since then, I don't go on die-hard investigations. Like, I'm not traveling all the time, right?
Right.
I would usually do like maybe a trip a year, I did Villisca one year, Waverly another year, Haunted Leopolis House. So it was more of kind of my annual event type of thing, so, and then I just happened to, meet some other folks when I was living in the Wisconsin area, Kane Adams, Fox Valley, I believe, Paranormal.
Okay.
On that. And so I did some investigations with him, and that was a great time, and connected with some members of his team. And then, so that's kind of how the networking kind of grew.
Right.
So,
very cool. Yeah. So how often do you investigate now?
How often now? Well, I would probably say 2 to 3 times a year. I would like to do more, but maybe in the future. This was kind of an interesting year for me of change and evolution. But yeah, I would like to do a little bit more within the next year. I would like to maybe hit up, Nebraska, so I can head up by you.
You can, yes. Yep. We have a couple handful of places right around here. Actually, we have a couple that are right over across the border in Iowa. That would be good to check out too. We have Malvern Manor over in Malvern, Iowa, and we have the Squirrel Cage jail that's right over in Council Bluffs. So,
nice. Yeah, I was invited to go to both of those, and sadly declined.
Okay.
But yeah.
Well, we know the owners of Malvern Manor, so we can probably get you into there pretty easily.
That'd be great. I would love to.
And the Squirrel Cage is open to the public, so it's they do allow private investigations, and it's better to do it that way. We have not done a private investigation there. We have friends who have, but we went there during the day when it was open. So unfortunately, we really couldn't use a lot of the material because it was contaminated by other people that were in there. And it's not huge. It's pretty small. It was only an 18-cell jail, about 3 stories tall. So yeah, it's pretty tiny.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought there was there another one located in the U.S.? Is that one of 2?
I think this is one of only 2 left in the United States. There used to be, I want to say 18 to 20 of them initially, but this is only one of 2 that are left up and about. So
intriguing. Yeah, definitely at some point I would like to go.
Yeah. When we walked in there, my strongest feeling came from, of all things, the warden or the sheriff used to live on the very top floor with his family. There's actually a living quarters up there. So when you go up there, that was my strongest feelings in there and the medical office that's actually there. So it'd be interesting to put us together to see what happens. So
Yeah, we'll definitely have to go there at some point. I know Candy had a really great experience there, so
Yeah.
she was super excited about it.
How'd you like the? So as everyone knows, and as you know, I Facebook stalk people before I have them on my show, and I saw your Velisca axe murder pictures. So how did you like the house, and did you get anything from the house?
Yeah. So yeah, that was a long story about good old Velisca. Yeah.
Well, guess what? We have time.
Me and that house don't play together well.
Oh,
We don't.
okay.
So my first time that I went there was in 2012.
Okay.
And it was on my birthday. And it was real close to the 100th anniversary. I believe it was the 100th anniversary of the murders, and we were just, a few days shy. So we booked it on my birthday, and I went in with my cousin, and yeah, we it was about 3 o'clock in the morning, right? Like I can turn this into a really long story and very personal, but I had gone out of the house, and it was a hot summer night, and they got the safe house, right? So I was sitting outside of the safe house, and I was smoking a cigarette at the time when I was still smoking. And again, this is back in 2012. I was smoking, and I was by myself. Everybody else was still in the house doing things. And so in the back of the safe house, it's like a barn. So I just heard a tapping on the glass, like, and
Right.
I just, there's nobody around me. And so over the safe house, it's a tin roof, and it just sounded like that there was like gravel being dumped over the safe house or over the awning, and
Yeah.
it just sounded like it just kept going, like it was just a dumping, right?
Right.
And again, it was dark, and where you look around the house, so I was sitting on the bench. I heard the tap from there. I'm hearing the sound, and out off to the side of the safe house. Do you ever see when like heat's rising from a road, or
Oh
if you're
yeah.
looking at grilling meat and you see like almost the just distortion
Yep.
rising up? Okay,
Absolutely.
so when I was hearing that, I was uh, seeing this distortion in the dark, right?
Huh. Yeah.
Like legit heat marks. Like I don't know if it was heat. I don't know what it was. Right?
Right.
I do not know what it was.
But it was the distortion for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing all of this, and uh, my cigarette's burning. There was not one puff taken. It's just burning,
Yeah.
right? As I'm seeing all of this out of my peripheral, I saw something moving this way, and I turned, and it was a skunk. So as soon as I turned my head, it all just stopped.
Hmm.
It all just stopped. It all stopped. It all went silent. Um, and then, yeah, and then the real fun kind of began.
Yeah.
It was like we were turned into a time warp,
Really.
and it was really bizarre.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like that whole town is stuck, you
Mm.
know, in like another time. It's just crazy. But yeah, so I went back in, and I told everybody what had happened to me. And, you know, our equipment was switching on when it was on a locked file. Our recorders would turn on, and we would lose battery and everything. But all in all, to wrap up Velisca, because I can talk about that forever, um, um, I ended up divorced on my way home.
Huh.
It was almost kind of like something came back with me.
Oh yeah.
And
Hmm.
it sounds so incredibly bizarre, but the way that everything kind of happened was just surreal. Like, pulling out of Velisca, I went to we went to the grave site, and then we pull out of there. And then, of course, you turn on the radio, and the only station that's there was Casey Kasem Top 40
Oh,
was
yeah.
playing, and they were featuring the top #1 song on the day of my birthday, June 17th, 1976. Which is weird. Why would 1976 be chosen?
Right.
Right? So, yeah. So, my current husband at the time, he was supposed to be on this trip with me, and he didn't go. But yeah, my car died, and it was checked. It was dead, and then I was in a hotel. My dad had to come and get me because my sister said, you're not going to be staying alone on your birthday. And I just had this feeling in the pit of my stomach, and I said, Dad, I don't want to go home yet. Call my mom, and she said, you need to go home to your girls. They're waiting. And that's when, I came home, ultimately came home. And, my dad and my sister picked me up 3.5 hours out of Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
So it's time invested. But anyway, discovered some things that, were very shocking. And a part of me has to believe with the way that things happen that just, something led me to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then our second time back to Villisca it was better. It was cold. It was very, very cold. But, I feel like Villisca remembered me, and, you still have the same mindset, when you get there.
Yeah.
It's just, you flip. So have you been there, Tom?
I have not. It's one of the places that we talk about going, but we just haven't gone out there yet. Had friends who have gone out there. Some have had experiences, some haven't. I have a person I work with, and he said he has had nothing, but his wife and daughter experienced something. But then we've had people who we used to investigate with, and they've been out there, and they said they've had activity, but I have not. I have a very strong suspicion that if I go out there, something will there will be action between me and something else that is there. I have a feeling, just because of who I am, and so kind of what I bring to the table type of thing. I think it'll be more of a challenge towards me than welcoming arms, open arms. So I just kind of get that feeling, and I think it's just and I think it won't be that way. Like if I went back again, I think it would just be like the initial challenge of, you're on my territory. This is the first time you're coming in here. I am the alpha, and I am not that person to go, okay. So I'm the one that goes, I'm the alpha. There's a reason that I am an alpha. So
yeah, it's a different. It's just crazy how the energy is in that place, and I feel like maybe it depends on the person too, right?
Yeah.
So I think that the property kind of bends and twists to who's there, and
yeah. But like I said, I think that would be the first thing. I think the first time I went there, I think it would be a who's in charge here type of thing, and then I think if we came to a understanding, not even an agreement, just an understanding, then the second time it would mellow out, and it would be like, okay, so let's dance while you're here the second time. So
yeah. So I think you definitely should go. I would go back again for sure.
Yeah. How many times have you been there?
I've been there twice.
Okay.
I've been twice. So yeah, 9 years apart.
Yeah. Rosie said she would be interested in going on an investigation. So
yeah, absolutely.
She's local to us too. So she's relatively close. So, and Stuart said he would love to join. So yeah, that's how he says Nicole, but he doesn't say me. Weird. So I see how it is, Stuart. Yep. So no, Stuart and I have talked about trying to to hook up somewhere between here and Texas where they're at, and kind of do something in between. So,
Nice.
but yeah, I would be, like I said, I am interested in going there. We just haven't made our way out to there. It's just, in fact, we just did a kind of a mock investigation. Excuse me, a couple days ago, or yesterday actually, just did a mock investigation at one of the places where I work at, and because it's a very old building. I actually work on the military base here, off at Air Force Base, and this is where the B-19s were built for World War II. And there was a lot of death in the building because it was an assembly line, but it was not put together very well. And we were there just kind of checking it out. I took Nicole there because that was one of the first times that she's been in the building before, but she's never done a walk around with me. And when I go in the morning, I unlock my section of the building every morning because I'm the first one there. And when I get there, I have to say hello to everybody. Otherwise, they make a lot of noise to let me know that I forgot to say hello to them. And one of the rooms we were in, I kept walking out of because I kept hearing voices. And I kept checking to make sure that no one was around us. And we're very much in the back in the area where there should be no life forms at all. But she said she was hearing the voices too. So, but when we left, like we could only hear them in the room. When we left the room, you never heard the voice again. So it was a little interesting to wander. And that's going to be a place I think that I'm going to want to do further investigation. It is a monster place. It's 2 stories, but the inside of it, you can actually drive cars. It's huge.
Wow.
Yeah, there's actually, you can actually do roads. Like the roads are named. The roads are like Dodge and C. So they do like a letter or like a word and a letter type thing. So so it's interesting to see. Hi, Janet. Hello, Miss Jessica. We have people popping in to say hi, so I'm just saying hi to them really quick. But so it'd be a pretty cool building to go in and actually investigate with. But I think we need more than just me and Nikki. But I'm not really sure if I'm supposed to be there or not, since it is on the military base. Well, I work there, but if I'm just wandering around, but the biggest problem is actually the same building that the police is in, that our security forces on the base are located in as well.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, yeah. That could be a potential problem. Although you might be able to talk them into maybe.
Oh yeah, I'm sure if I asked them, if I told them, look, we're not going anywhere classified. We're just going to be out in the main hallways. We're just going to be out in the main stairwells, type of thing. They'd probably have me sign a waiver saying I was responsible for everybody. So Stuart, that rules you out because I don't know, you'll probably run away everywhere. But yeah, I'm sure I can come up with something if I needed to with the forces that be on the base to at least allow me to do a couple hours or something like that. But so
that'd be great.
Let's keep that in mind too.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be fun.
Yeah. So when you invest, I know someone's going to ask this question, so I'll just beat him to it. When you investigate, what is your number one go-to piece of equipment that you would take on any investigation?
Oh, boy, my number one go-to. Well, I mean, I always have my EMF detector. Like, that's simple. It's fast. You just pop it in your pocket and you're done.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Other than that, like the REM pods, I like a lot. The REM pods are really cool to play with. And then the ghost boxes are kind of cool too. So, to be able to have, something that could potentially, maybe be touched or set off, that's those are fun toys.
Is there any form of equipment that you're just like, I don't like this? It's just not for me.
Well, I mean, funny enough, some of my favorite stuff is like also like some of that are just like the bane of my existence. Like, like the spirit box, for instance.
Yep.
That is, it's always open to interpretation, and it just depends on what we think through. That for me is always just kind of like it's a cool to have, but is it something that I can really rely on?
Yeah.
It's a horse apiece, I guess,
Yeah.
but still fun to kind of like, set up a few different things. And if you have some things simultaneously happen, in my world, it's like a solid maybe.
Right. Yeah.
Almost, for instance, it's, of course I had witnessed the thing for Velisca myself.
Right. Yes.
God, I wish to God I had somebody else there, It's something I probably will never ever experience again in my entire life.
Yeah. That's too bad. Or
Yeah.
maybe. So just for the people who are wondering and who are seeing if their eyes are playing tricks on them, no, there is something in the background that moves behind her, and it's her puppy. It's her dog. I saw the movement up above the top of the couch, like they were walking on the couch above the cushions. And you just see this little bobbing up along the top of the cushion. So no, there wasn't a little kid that ran by with blonde hair. It's the dog.
That's funny. Yeah, I don't see her here anymore. She must have scurried upstairs. Yeah, I have two dogs.
Yeah,
I have two dogs. They're very, very sweet.
Yeah, I just saw the movement over the top of the cushion. So I was telling people,
don't worry. I her up, but she didn't run away.
So I was just letting people know, no, there's nothing that's running behind you right now. That's supernatural. It's meant to be there. So
that's funny.
So I guess we're going to run through a gambit of standard questions before we just go squirrel moments. But is there any place that you are just dying to go? What's your bucket list place? Where do you just like, I want to go here. I want to go investigate here.
Yeah. I would say I would really love to investigate Joliet Prison.
You have posted about that right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on with it. Like, they have a haunt. And a few years ago, I believe it was around COVID, between 2018, 2020. I was connected to somebody who used to lead tours. And found out recently, I believe it was through the community, that they are no longer allowing teams to come and investigate the property.
Really?
Yeah, and that's really sad because that's something that I really wanted to do because of its rich history and, just the good, the bad, and the ugly, I guess, associated with it, you know. So if they ever re-allow that, I would love to do that. So Joliet Prison. And then I would also love to go to Alcatraz. I think that would just be the most amazing experience.
So I'm from the West Coast. I have been to Alcatraz more than 30 times, but it was before I had any awareness at all in any way, shape, or form. So I just went with our friends because we always wanted to show them Alcatraz when they came out to visit. So I would always take them out on the blue and gold fleet, which is what goes out there, to take a look around. So I really wish I can go back now that I have my awareness to see what kicks up now. I mean, it's always been a very comfortable, homey place to me. Not that I belong in prison, but it was to me, there was nothing nefarious or nothing that felt odd to me. And it could be because I've been going there since I was a little boy, many moons ago. But so it may just be my familiarity with it. It may just be whatever, but it doesn't, I don't think it would set me off like other places that I haven't been to before would. I think if I went there now, the spirit there would remember who I was as a boy and be like, "Oh, now you realize who we are. Hi, welcome back," type of thing. That's just kind of the feeling I get. It would still be that very homey feeling for me, to where I would be welcomed back, for not disrespecting them when I was little, because I wasn't that kid who ran around and slammed doors and screamed and everything else. I was still very respectful even when I was younger, when I was there, knowing what it was. So.
Yeah, I definitely think that goes a long way. Yeah, I would be curious to see how you would feel walking
Yeah.
in there
Yep.
after all that time. Absolutely.
Yeah. Stewart is saying as a teen, he worked in a jail that had been around since the 1600s. It's in Mount Holly, New Jersey. Very haunted.
Ooh, when you, Stuart, may I ask, when you were working there, did you know of the stories prior to taking the position? And did you experience uh, anything?
Good question. So, has there been? I gotta ask. So, we all react to spirit differently when we sense them.
Yeah.
Some of us kind of have the same similarities, but they're still a little odd or different sometimes. What is your first recollect, or what is your first notice that you're in the area? Excuse me, of something, spirit, demon, ghost, residual, whatever. What sends you off to say, "Yep, there's something here."
Earliest recollection. The earliest recollection, the story just felt weird at times. The tour guide. Huh.
Yeah. So
Oh, that's
Stuart says, "Yes, I knew the stories, just felt weird at times. I was a tour guide." So okay, very cool.
that's great. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, squirrel. Sorry, Tom.
Well, we do this. This is on purpose. So if we did not have a squirrel moment, we would not have a real show. So
Imagine what my employer said. Ugh.
so
Okay.
two parts. What what basically, but also what is it that you sense? Do you get goosebumps? Do you get goose pimples? Does it do you just kind of get the feeling? Because mine's straight in my head. When I'm coming presents, all the pressure goes to my head. I'm like, okay, so something is here, whether it wants to talk to me or not. I know it's here.
Yeah.
So what is your
When I was younger, it started with just like goosebumps, and kind of shivers up the spine, and like your hair stand on end. The earliest recollection that I had of this, I want to say I was maybe 6 years old. My first experience was waking up in the middle of the night as a child, and I had my bed up against a window, and my parents' room was just kind of diagonal from me.
Okay.
And I just woke up out of pretty deep sleep, and I woke up and I saw like a short man, and he was very pale. He was wearing a suit, and he just had this grin on his face, and he just materialized. Like I just stared there, and he came, and he started walking towards my bed. Like, and it was, just watching him come towards my bed. And then I got to the point where he was coming so close. I was, of course, terrified.
Right.
Just when your blood just turns cold. And I remember I just grabbed my covers and I put them over my head. And I did not.
That's always the best defense mechanism.
It was, because
always
I was impermeable. Like nothing could get me.
Right.
But I remember I sat there holding my blankets until I could see the sun come out of my window. So I was wide awake the whole time, clutching at my blankets. Yeah. And I told my mom the next day, and of course she just, honey, you were dreaming or whatever, or blah, 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 blah. Well, I'm sorry. No, I wasn't dreaming because I was awake
right
for the whole rest of the night. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
I was awake for the rest of the night. This was a 3-flat that we lived at in Chicago when I was younger. Second was a Ouija board, and we had an experience with that with some childhood friends. So it just kind of, as we dabbled, it went. Today, some of the things that I've started to notice, again, like you said, Tom, like all in your head, like the pressure, it's just, at times it's just like an instant migraine, and I just feel like my head is just going to explode.
Right.
That's one thing. That's probably one of the main components that I've been having as of late, just a lot of pressure. some goosebumps here and there, some chills. But that's about it.
Do you only sense the spirit? Or are you able to see them as well? Outside
I've
of
not,
the
I've not been able to see anything except for that one thing that I saw when I was younger,
right?
and the ectoplasm type stuff, whatever the
Oh
hell
yeah.
that was, and at Velisca. Um, yeah, that's no, I haven't seen anything else. No.
Can you hear them talking to you? Can you hear the voice? Can you hear them talk, or do you?
I don't hear any talking. No,
Okay,
I do not.
so it's purely just the spirit's there, and outside of using equipment, you have no idea what they're talking about or anything else. It's just
Correct.
okay. Yeah,
Correct.
and because I'm curious, because some people will say, well, I get images of what they're trying to tell me, like symbols, and I have to decipher what it means. And some people will say, well, I can see them, but sometimes I see them in their death state, or sometimes I see them as they were alive and healthy. Um, I've had one person tell me I see them how they want me to see them based off of what the messages are telling me.
Mhm.
She said if it's a message I'm supposed to pass on to my mom, then he will show up um, in his younger form when because it was her grandfather when it was just when she was the daughter and he was the dad. But when she shows up to her to the person I was talking to, she shows up as a grandfather. So he shows up in different ages, and she can decipher from there who the message is supposed to go to that's given.
Now that's intriguing.
Yeah,
That's an intriguing gift.
that's
Absolutely.
that's pretty interesting. I was like, wow, that's kind of cool. So for me, they
Yeah.
just show up and start talking to me like you and I are talking. They're just like, hi, what are you doing? And I'm like, hi, what do you want? So yeah, it's
Thank God that doesn't happen to me. Oh my gosh.
oh my goodness, let me tell you, sometimes it's an adventure. Interesting, especially when you're because like I said, my building is quite known by everyone who resides in there for spirit and everything else. Now, no one else in there apparently sees them or feels them or talks to them like I do. But it's very interesting when I'm talking to someone. All of a sudden, I kind of stop in mid conversation, and I'm like, "Hold on," and I have to wait for a second for it to pass, and I kind of mentally tell them, "Not now. I'm busy. I'm working with people. Come back another time, or see me in the morning when I'm by myself." Type of thing. So it's kind of interesting to work in an environment like that because they show up just like you, like I'm looking at you right now, and they don't send me images, they don't send me symbols, they talk directly to me. And the best way I can describe them to other people, surprisingly enough, is although I see them how they look, I can describe them as how actors and actresses look, or celebrities or something else. I can best describe them how they look like that, and then kind of identify their little intricacies that set them apart to others. So if you were to say, hey, what is blah blah blah, and I can be like, oh well, this person looks like this, but there's little differences. Is instead of having the blonde hair, he has the brown hair, and he's about this tall instead of this tall, type of thing. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
That's absolutely intriguing.
yeah.
It really is.
Are you so you're in your home right now?
I am. Yes.
Anything happen in your home, or do you have issues with your home? I don't want to say issues like they're a bad thing, but do you have issues in your own home environment?
Not that I'm aware of. I've never gotten anything creepy in here. I haven't gotten anything creepy. Um, only creepy instances I've had in a house recently was my marital home when I lived in Cary, Illinois. So that house actually belonged to a church.
Oh,
And it was a really nice house, but the church bought it for the pastors, when they would come in and
yeah,
out. And so when, the church was like, well, we're done, we're going to just kind of roll up shop, then they sold the property with that. So, on occasions I've heard like creaks and bumps, but of course it could have been just the house settling.
Right.
Could have been a window open upstairs that made a door slam or whatever causing creepiness. But yeah. Other than that, my parents' house has just got put on the market. We had some things happen there. Apparently, when they were building the house back in '89,
Hmm.
one of the carpenters fell. He was doing stuff at the top, and apparently he fell to the basement and passed away. So,
Wow. Yeah.
yeah. So in that house, we've always heard footsteps upstairs. So where our attic was, we had it was a whole house fan, right? We'd turn it and like all air would just circulate through it.
Right.
But like when that was quiet, right above there, we would hear knocking, and steps and whatnot. So,
Yeah.
so that was a little bit weird, but
Yeah.
nothing in my current home. Thank God. Thank God. And I don't plan on bringing anything back.
Right. You've learned better. So, when you were younger, I thought of this question beforehand, but my mind went into my own squirrel moment on my own. And you saw the gentleman that was dressed in the suit, and you pulled the covers over your head. So your mom just kind of brushed it off as you were dreaming. Do you know of anything in your lineage of anybody that has abilities or had abilities? Or are you the first?
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's considered an ability. Like my mom said that she had seen some things, when her sister died
Yeah.
of cancer. I thought my mom was losing her mind, because she said that in the moment of her death,
Mm-hmm.
my mom was in her bedroom, and she said she just saw around her like demonic,
Hmm.
like shadows
Hmm.
is the only way that she kind of was able to tell me. And I was young. I think my aunt died of pancreatic cancer and I was like 8.
Right.
So, but she said she saw that, and I just, you know, you want to trust your parent, but then you also think maybe she's kind of crazy. I don't know. Maybe she's, having a grief moment. Like I get it,
Right.
right?
Right.
Um,
And that may project an ability forward for a brief amount of moments, just for, in that state of grief or that state of fear, that state of whatever, it just projects out of you, because everybody has abilities. You just have to figure out how to open them up. So that could have been a moment of that. It could have just been a moment of her clarity. But I'm curious about the way you said it. I'm curious, is it because it's the first time it's happened to her that she just initially associated it with demonic shadow because she didn't recognize it and it scared her, so she just instantly went demonic? Or if it was supposed to be a message of some sort, maybe not demonic, but just a message, and she just accepted it wrong.
I think it was just a message because after she had that, then she had gotten the phone call back then we didn't have cell phones. So
Right.
she had actually gotten a phone call that her sister had passed away. So perhaps it was a message, just letting him know that she passed on in some way.
That was
I
her.
don't know.
That was her saying goodbye on her way out, basically stopping by to say goodbye. Before the phone call happened. So yeah, I can see that. I mean, I can literally see it. So yeah, I can see that.
Like I literally thought she was crazy, but then I kind of started,
Yeah.
hard.
So Rosie states, we took a trip to Mexico one year by car, one of many, but at one instance I was driving, and on the side of the road I've seen a fog-looking thing, but no fog around, so I passed it off as someone who passed on right there. Could very well be, yeah. There's a lot of instances that are reported, maybe not nationally or internationally, but there's always talks of anything you see. Someone always shows a figure, a fog, a shadow, something along a strip of road where they may have possibly died. excuse me, or something happened, or they lived close by there or something else, and their figure or a form of stays in that area because it's familiar to them and they're comfortable there. Speaking of, that's another place you should probably come down and investigate with us. Nikki and I have a place down here called the Seven Sisters Road down here in Nebraska City. And the story behind it is it's either a brother or a father lived on the land with 7 sisters or 7. He had 7 daughters. They no confirmation if it was the son or the dad who did it, but both of them were there. And they let each one of the sisters out of the house one by one and actually hang them from trees on top of the hillsides. So now when you drive down that road, the road is completely changed. They tore all the areas down, but there's still a road that passes through that area. Wow. And people will tell you when you drive through there, they see apparitions. They can hear the screamings of the girls. And when you drive through the specific areas where the hangings took place, your car will it will malfunction. You'll lose your power. You'll lose mechanical issues and everything else. So,
wow.
So it's interesting to think of places like that around there as well. That
would be the trifecta. I would love to experience that.
Yeah, Rosie's like, "Oh my God, are you serious? I've heard of it, but why?" Yeah, I don't know why. The assumption is that the assumption that I keep hearing is that it was the son, and the son was not quite right. And so he ended up becoming jealous of his sisters because they got all the attention from the father. By the way, I saw your new water, your new water container, and I saw it online, and it's fantastic.
Nice, I love it.
Yeah. But that's the story behind it, is that the brother was jealous, so he took him out and hanged them all one by one on top of the hillsides, right down about half an hour south of us. So, yeah, we're pretty close to that one.
That's horrible. Have you gone there yourself?
Not yet. Not yet. Okay. We actually just learned about it this year.
Okay.
We just haven't made our way. I have done way too much traveling this year for work. I figured it out from October of last year to October of this year. I will have done 20 different trips for work, and all the trips range from 1 to 2 weeks each. So I've been gone a bit. So yeah. So we haven't had much time to investigate and do things. And Nikki just started back teaching at school.
Yeah, you guys are going to be busy for sure.
Yeah, but like I said, it's not that far away. It's only half an hour away from us. We can investigate over a weekend if we want to just take a drive down there. And now Nikki says, and now we are actually waiting until it cools down. Yes, very true.
Yeah.
Our heat wave right now is ridiculous. Yes.
Yeah, you gotta wait till pumpkin spice season officially kicks into gear, right?
Yes, and I did see all your pumpkin spice cupcakes, recipes, and everything else that are out there too. See, I told you I Facebook stalk very well. So,
but let me tell you, we were so bummed. I was going to Dunkin' Donuts on Saturday in Dubuque, and they had pumpkin everything posted, plastered all on their windows, all on their drive-up menu, on their Facebook. And we get up there, and my daughter's like, "Ma, I want 2 pumpkin, icy coffees." And she says to me, she goes, "I'm sorry, we don't have pumpkin flavor yet."
And you're like, "Well, what's it advertised for?"
What? Like, it's plastered all over the place. Like, "Sorry, we won't have that until Monday." I'm like, "Oh, man." So pumpkin spice latte season kicks off in Dubuque today at Dunkin' Donuts.
Rosie said she loves the cup, by the way. So.
Oh, thank you. I got this at a farmer's market over the weekend. And this thing is like, and the back, I have to get further away, but the back of it has got directions for use. I just loved it. I don't know. Of everything at the farmer's market, I'm like, I feel like I must have this for my calls at work, but I'll have it placed like this.
Right?
No,
so Stuart is trying to say that we make sure that when we go down to Seven Sisters Roads, we take my car. But the problem with that, as Nikki points out, is that's the problem because hers is a lease and she's getting my car when we turn in her lease because it's a very nice car. And I will be getting something new. So she wants to know which one we should take. So, but yes, Stuart's trying to get my car broken is what he's trying to say here. So
Yeah, no, don't do that, please.
yeah, yeah.
Especially if it was one of those old, the roads that was really old and
And
tore
very
it up.
haunted. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a handful of places around here that have not been investigated before, and those are the ones we're going to start investigating. There's a property over here that is by someone we know, about 15, 20 minutes away from us, and there is a marker for a Native American chief who died on the land quite a while ago, mid 1800s. And then they built a church, Christian church, on the same land in the late 1800s, and both of them are still standing. Okay. So I want to go there to see what kind of energy I get from the native side of the house being invaded by a Christian church put on the land.
Yeah, I can't imagine that would probably be favorable.
Yeah. I'm really leaning on my Native American side to protect me on this one.
Yeah.
So there's a handful of places I heard that were like, oh, well, let's do this. So
yeah, historical markers are great.
Yeah. And apparently the whole land used to belong to, like, it was all Native American land at one point, like everything was. But this one section was known for, although basically, they moved with migrating times. This was one they always came back to. It was very well known that this was going to be a stop on their migration. One way out, one way back. This is always where they were going to stop. And one of the primary Indian chiefs that resided over everything passed away there. So it's Indian land, but Christians decided to build a church right on top of it.
So. No, yeah, that's not good. You have to let me know how the outcome of that one goes when you finally investigate it.
Rosie's asking, have you visited cemeteries that were haunted?
Haunted cemeteries. So, I was a weird kid, right? Where I would go to cemeteries and hang out.
Yeah, I still do it. So yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't have any equipment with me. I just sat there. But there was one that we went to. It was Resurrection Cemetery in Chicago. Mm-hmm. And that's where, Resurrection Mary was there. So I got to visit that, and that was kind of cool. I would like to visit Bachelor's Grove Cemetery at some point.
Yeah.
That's out here in Midlothian. And, there's been stories around that place for years and years and years.
Yeah.
But it's kind of on the wrong side of the tracks, and you got to kind of go when it's lit, and it's one of those. So
we have one of those. It's up in what we call North Omaha, which is not known to be the best place unless you have more weapons than the person there does. But it is supposed to be a very haunted cemetery. But again, you'd have to be there during the day, and even during the day, you're still carrying weapons. So yes, I think we have the same cemetery, just in two different states. So.
Yep. Yeah, more than likely. But yeah, I'll get out to more at some point.
Yeah. It's interesting because when we drove up into Iowa a couple of times, we would take, I think it was Highway 33 that went up north into that area. And we would drive by these wide open fields, but there would be these tiny cemeteries right on the side of the road with like 3 or 4 grave markers. But they weren't like marked for people who passed on the roadway. They were legitimate, like, small town graves in that area, but they only had very, very few headstones or markers at all. But when we drove up from I-80, turned north, and then continued going up a little bit towards, we're driving up into basically mid Iowa. Mm-hmm. There were numerous of them along the way. Like every time you pass a county, they had these small cemeteries that were just slightly set back off the road.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you figure, even the smallest community has to have their little cemeteries.
Right.
I just like to think about, so many years ago, like, of course you have to move these cemeteries, right? Like,
Yeah, right.
what are you doing with all these people? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. So are you reading what Rosie wrote? Is that what you're reading? There was a
I did.
cemetery in Chicago, and apparently there was a spirit named Mary. I seen that episode on Unsolved Mysteries.
Yes, that's correct, Rosie. So that was Resurrection Cemetery, and that goes along with the story of Resurrection Mary.
Yeah. Yeah, we have one out here called the Black Angel. And apparently if you drink the water from her hands or drink the water that runs from her eyes, that you will die. So what do I got to lose? I've done them both. So still alive, but it's a very cool story about how it came to pass. It was a lady who was, I want to say it was a lady who was, she believed, yes, my husband is dumb. Thank you. I just like to say a risk taker. But it was a lady who believed that she was being greeted and welcomed by an angel. And it turned out it was, she presented herself as an angel, but she was a very dark being. And she ended up assisting the lady, but she took her soul. And so apparently anybody who drinks from her hands or takes water from her eyes when it rains will lose their soul and they will die. And I was like, challenge accepted. So I am that guy, by the way. So be wary, Miss Carli, if you do come out investigating with us with that little tidbit of fact that someone goes, hey, I don't think we should do that. Someone's going to go do it.
That sounds good. I can roll with that.
Just be aware.
Yeah.
We have gone on investigations where people have been, that place doesn't feel right. It feels pretty evil. In fact, I think there's a real negative portal there behind that door. And I just open it up. Where? Let's go see it. Yeah, that's me. Yes, Nikki, I know. She says, I know. Does that make me dumber? He is dumb. Am I dumber? So, because Stuart said, well, you married him, so.
I don't like the word dumber, maybe more like an accomplice.
I think before she married me, she was just an unknown victim in waiting. That's what I would claim it as. Now it's her fault that she stays with me. Now that.
Touche.
That's where you start asking the questions. And she says, yes, I like that much better.
Yeah, accomplice is much better.
Yes. Is there, Rosie says, good save, Tom. Thanks. I appreciate it. If you had any other abilities outside of the fact that you can sense them and you like to investigate, what would it be? What would be that one ability you're like, man, I would like to have that ability when I go on a paranormal investigation?
Well,
that is the first time I've ever asked that question.
I mean, time travel is, I don't think that's going to be something that I can ever accomplish. But I have kind of toyed a little bit with, is it Astral Projection?
I do that.
Yeah, so it basically, like when I sleep and I have night terrors, when I've had multiple nights of night terrors, I started to recognize what it was and have the capacity to redirect where my dreams were going.
Girl, yes.
So instead of, clutching my partner's neck in a Vulcan death grip when I saw the black shadow figures, I was able to then, kind of just.
So you can alter your dreams.
I have started to do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is
just recognize it.
Yes, that is something I've been able to do since I was little, but I never knew what it was. If I did not like the way a dream was going, I could alter the faces in it, where I was, how fast or how slow it happened. And the next thing I want you to try, this is just me enlightening you. You can alter your dreams for what your surroundings are, right? You're learning how. Try to focus more instead of on changing what. So Rosie, there is astral projection, which I do, but there is also alterations that you can do. And what she's doing is called an astral alteration or a dream alteration. Because I can project where I want to go. Like if I close my eyes and I go, let's go somewhere new tonight. And I can actually, what you are doing is what I do is called self-hypnosis into astral projection. I don't know how I taught myself how to do it, but it works. People are mad at me because I learned how to do it. And now you know how to do it too, which is awesome. But when you get there, when you identify things that you need to change, don't always try to change the surrounding. Or thanks, Keith. That's good too. Lucid dreaming, or the individual. Alter what you are able to do in that situation.
Yeah, I have tried doing that. So this actually was triggered from sleep paralysis episodes. So, you would have that, and then I don't know if Tom, yourself, or anybody who's listening, who's had these experiences, hear like a very high pitched noise in your head, almost like a high pitched whir, and then you can kind of start knowing where you're slipping into that lucid dreaming state, or not lucid dreaming, sleep paralysis.
Sleep paralysis, yeah.
Right. So then from that point, when then I feel like I am awake and I am then acting, right, on behalf of my physical self, I've actually tried to get myself out and moving, and had the same result of finally getting up off of the couch, running into my bedroom, and then I would my eyes would open back up and I'd be bam, right back on the couch. Okay. Try this again. Eyes are open, right? You're up, you're doing it. I mean, and it's just so exhausting.
Yeah. That's that tether you have between your physical reality and your when you're projecting. You're always still attached by, some people see it as a silver thread, or some people see it as something else, but your attachment that keeps you grounded to where you're actually at. And when you're doing that, you're bringing yourself back into your body from where you've disassociated yourself to. That's what that's doing. And it's good that you're practicing that. I mean, you really don't have too much worry or fear of ever being disconnected from whatever it is that is holding you to your physical self. But if you are in situations to where you are in that state of openness, and something evil decides that it wants to take advantage of that, it can. And I can try to disassociate you from that connection, which in turn separates your soul from your body, and you could actually die from it. That's when people say that they actually like die in their sleep. People, without any explanation, some people die in their sleep. Perfectly healthy, blah, 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 everything else. Something along those lines has happened. And that's kind of what that is. Yeah. So Stuart is saying sleep paralysis is a mechanism your body does to keep you still while dreaming. Your mind just awakens before your body. So it just depends on what state you're in, what you're doing. So there is astral travel, there's astral projection, there's lucid dreaming. So there's a lot of different things going on. So it just depends on which one you're doing, is where you're at in that state. Have you? So one of the things that I've worked on doing, and I'm actually pretty good at it. but I've been doing it since I was young. I can wake up from a dream that I have altered, and I can go use the restroom, go get a drink of water, do whatever, and come back, and I can put myself back to sleep exactly at that same point where I woke up at. Are you doing that?
I have done that. I don't know if it's something that was intentional, or if it's just something you slip back into.
Yeah, try focusing on. Try putting if you're happy with the dream you came out of, try putting yourself back into that state. Try saying, and I mean, when you lay down, you're basically telling your third eye, I want to be back in that state where I was, and see if you can set yourself back into that place.
I can try that, just depending on what it is, though. I may not want to go back into that state, but if it's something decent,
right, and that's what I'm saying. If it's something you wanted, if that's a place you were happy with, go back into that. So one thing that you should pay attention to in your dreams, if you can read a newspaper, then you are not dreaming. You are in your lucid state, or you are traveling. Because in a dream state, your mind cannot understand to make out words and numbers. So you can't read clocks and you cannot read words. So you know you're not in just a normal dream state if you cannot do those two things. Sometimes you also can't make out the faces of the people that are around you. If you can do those three things, you are not in a standard dream state. You are actually out of your body somewhere in an area that is either familiar or unfamiliar to you, and you are exploring.
Yeah.
So
I have had a couple of different experiences with that. One was having the lucid dreaming, and I remember I was I know Candy was in my dream, and I just I woke up out of my dream.
Child.
And I did. I messaged her. It was like whatever o'clock in the morning it was, because I had woke up from this dream.
Yeah.
And I still heard her voice, like talking to me. It was very, very, very bizarre.
Yeah.
And yeah, I have, had dreams where I went out my driveway and I was like, trying to figure out how to, if I lift my arms up, I could go up. Please don't think I'm crazy, Tom. Please don't.
I will never think anybody. Yes.
Please don't. But this is the first time I, really was able to feel like I was airborne lifted.
Yeah.
And it was, okay, lifting this. Okay, no, this isn't working. I have to lift both my arms and my legs, right, to get. And yeah, it was just crazy because I was like over the industrial Dubuque, over by like mines in Spain. It was crazy. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I just have a crazy mind. Maybe I'm just.
Flying is very common when I travel. Flying is very common when I travel. That's how I get most places in my dreams, or in my state of astral projection, remote viewing, anything else, is I actually am flying to that location. So flying is very common. It's falling that sucks. Just so you know, that's the part that hurts. Well, it doesn't. It doesn't. They always say you wake up right before you hit the ground, because if you don't, then you'll die. Yeah, I have always forced myself to stay asleep, and I have always ended up landing in something that is either soft or water. That is always, and I've never died. Just so I always force myself to stay asleep for that time. So Nikki says, I had sleep paralysis before. The first couple of times was creepy and strange, but every time I feel like someone is with me in the room and I'm trying to talk to them, but I can't. Yeah. And then Rosie says, Nicole, I've had the experience a little while back. I could see my husband, but couldn't move, and tears were coming out. Damn scary. Yeah. So yes. Yep. Yeah. And then Rosie said, or when you are dreaming and falling, jerk awake. I hate that feeling. That feeling is actually your spirit, your whatever that is detached from you, your ethereal body that is separated from your body, and that is actually that string pulling you back in. And when you jerk awake like that, that is it being put back into your body. That's literally what that jerking feeling is.
That's so embarrassing when that happens in front of people.
Then don't fall asleep at work. I keep tell you that, but no. Yes. And then Stuart says, yep, sleep paralysis. Next time, know you're fine. True.
Yeah. No, I've been having very regular episodes of sleep paralysis ever since I would say probably all my life, but more frequently 2017 and beyond.
Hmm.
So it was almost, gosh, I want to say a weekly occurrence that I was having episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
That's
then,
weird.
yeah, it started getting really bizarre. But then that's when I started reading about, how to first recognize when you're starting to slip into the state. Then when you recognize that you're slipping into the state, how to redirect and talk to yourself out of it, that it's, blah,
Right.
blah, and then fly. Whatever you want to do to make it happy, happy.
Yep. So I'm confused about this reading thing you do that you learn stuff from. See, again, self-proclaimed lazy. Just figured out on my own. So you mean there's people out there that explain stuff? That's weird.
Right? No.
Stuart says, done that also, Tom, when he talks about, I think, slamming into the body or flying. Do you realize that you can fly because you remember something you forgot? No, I have always been able to fly since I was little. Always. But I also know that I am much faster when I run on all fours in my dreams than I am on my two legs in my dreams. I literally go down like a dog and run on all fours. And I am so much faster in my dreams. And a lot of people tell me that's tied to my Cheyenne Dogman Warrior side of me. That's literally part of their belief, is that they were turned into wolves. They were turned into dogs. The spirits of dogs would enter them, and they would become fighting animals when they fought. So the Cheyenne Dog Warriors is known as one of the most deadly Native American fighters at all time, and that's actually part of my heritage. So, and I think that's part of me why I run on all fours in my dreams, is because I'm tied to that. Flying, I really think it's because of my Superman tie. I really do. I have been a Superman fan, if you can't tell from behind me, for as long as I can remember. In fact, I was so excited yesterday because they came out with a list on one of the news articles I read and identified the top 50 superhero movies of all time. And number one is still Superman's 1979, from 1979.
Is it really?
The number one all-time superhero movie of all times. Yes, I'm still very, very happy about that. Because I was sure like maybe one of the Marvels would have overtaken it by now. But nope, they said number one still is Superman. So
That's crazy. And the fact that they killed him off and he's still number one.
Right? Exactly.
That's a lot.
So, yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Here, I'll just switch my camera over just a little bit so you can see. So I know someone else in this household is very into like the DVC. There you go.
I can see it. Yep.
Oh, there's a puppy too.
And I see a puppy. The one that, in fact, I Facebook stalk you so well that I know that's the puppy that is horrible about taking candid photos with you.
She is. She is awful.
See?
But she's my little shadow. She sits and hangs out with me all day while I work. She's awesome. My other one could care less. She's like, whatever. Wait for Dad to get home.
And Stuart states, you realize when the dog soldiers fought, they tied themselves in one spot and didn't move from that spot when they fought. Yes.
So. Yeah, that's really interesting that you can run on all fours in your dreams, because there's some times where I'm lucky that I can, feel like I'm walking through like a pool of water in my dreams.
Yeah. I had a period of time where when I would fight in my dreams, I could not. It felt like I was punching with a pillow. Like I had no force or anything at all. I was not violent in my dreams. I could not be violent in my dreams. I could not hurt others in my dreams, but I could protect those that needed protecting in the dreams. If that makes sense. But I could not hurt them, but I can keep them from being harmed. So it's very odd. So
that makes
it's weird. So
well, that was quite the tangent we went down.
Right.
Did I do that or did you?
This all started with me asking you if you had one ability in the paranormal world that you don't have right now, what would it be?
Okay.
So this was your fault. I asked the question.
Yeah.
Answer.
I never answered the question.
And I don't even know if you ever answered the question. So yeah.
No, I didn't.
Hey, I'm more impressed I remembered the question than anything else.
Yeah. No, so to answer that question, so I wish that I had the capability to see them.
Yeah.
I think that would be I would say swell. I don't know. It would be helpful, I guess.
Would you want to see them in their life state or in their death state?
I would want to see them definitely in their life state.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's just
Yeah. That's
your reaction life state, please.
Yeah. I know you are a self-proclaimed nerd like I am because I saw it on your post. You're a history nerd. Mm-hmm. But do you, I don't know if we should go down the squirrel. It's already 9:15 or we've already been on for an hour and 15 minutes. So maybe we'll save that for another moment. But yes, but that's the other people are popping up with squirrel. See, squirrel. It's expected. It's expected. They expect squirrel moments to happen. Well, with that said, being about an hour and 50 minutes in, I think it's a good place to wrap the show up for tonight.
We could do that. Thanks for having me on, Tom. It was great.
I absolutely loved having you on. Do me a favor, don't run away. I'm going to put you backstage. When I close the show down, I'll come back to you and talk to you after the show is closed. Okay? So don't run away. But thank you for coming on. It's greatly appreciated. I loved having you on. I loved the conversations. Like I said, time flew by. I did not realize we were already at an hour and 15 minutes. So, but I will be with you shortly. So
it was a lot of fun. And thanks to everybody who joined in the chat. It was great.
Absolutely.
It was nice to see y'all. Take care.
I'll see you in a second. All right, folks, that's the show. Carli was fantastic. Loved having her on. Looking forward to actually investigating with her sometimes. Mahalo, Keith, brother, appreciate it. So as we all know, I am in a state right now of going through Monday, Thursday. I actually have a Monday, Friday coming up at the beginning of September as well. But this coming Thursday, I have on Kyle Mangus from the Get Haunted Network. And then Monday on the 28th, I will have on Aaron Bush. So both those advertisements will be coming out as they always do. But just make sure you come back and visit. Say hello. Say hello to Kyle. We will, y'all will enjoy Kyle because I think we're going to talk boys versus girls in the paranormal world and who does it better. Investigating. Let me make that clear. Investigates better in the paranormal world. So we will have that discussion because the Get Haunted Network is known for putting those battles up. And I've had on Sarah Jane before, and she swears it's women. So now I'm going to get Kyle's side of it and see what he thinks as well. But anyways, that will be the 24th at 7 p.m. like normal. And then Monday, the 28th, I will have on Aaron Bush, and she has been doing a lot of cool, new, exciting things. Look for that post as well. I will put that out around the weekend time frame. Other than that, have a great few days until I see you again. If you want to know where I'm at, right here, Facebook.com, Stuff I Never Learned from a Schoolbook. You can go to Twitch at twitch.tv, Stuff I Never Learned, and then you can go to YouTube at youtube.com at Stuff I Never Learned. So come out. Visit us, say hi. If you actually want to send me an email, feel free. It is stuffineverlearned@gmail.com. I cannot make it any easier than that. So come out and visit us, say hi, send me questions, send me comments, like, follow, share. Let's keep growing this community. I love the fact that my audience still stays very engaged. So let's invite some new people to engage in this madness and sadness that we do. And let them go, oh my goodness, why am I watching this? I can't wait till the next one. Kind of addictive, kind of like a train wreck. You really want to look away, but you just can't. So feel free to come back. We will see you Thursday. Much love. Take care.